Everyone. Hello there, how are you? My name is Danny Henderson. I am all about disclosure, disclosing truth of our universe, our solar system, certainly the truth on our planet, inside and on the surface. The two friends on screen I have today, I'm so proud to know them both, Marcela Velasco and the great Alex Collier. I want to share a little bit about how I met them before I get them to speak, because we're going to share some incredible information with you today, part of Alex Collier's presentation from the Galactic Spiritual Informers Connection. But I met Marcela Velasco when I was with Alex Collier at a conference. And Marcela had reached out and said, "Will you watch my presentation?" And he said yes. So he and I went together to watch her presentation. And I kept my eye on Alex when Marcela was giving information about Andromeda. And when I saw the great man nod and put his hand on his heart and connect and see the information she puts out is correct, I'm like, I'm all in with that girl. So, Marcela Velasco, welcome to my channel again, my darling. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me here today. It's an honor to share this gathering with you and Alex, especially, both of you.
It's beautiful to have you. And Mr. Alex Collier, welcome, my darling friend.
You're welcome. It's always an honor and a privilege, Lady Henderson, to be with you and Lady Velasco. You know, I've known Marcella. Marcella, I have the honor and privilege of living in Colorado, where she also resides when she's in country. And she's somebody I absolutely trust. I think she's a remarkable woman, and her story needs to be shared. And she does very, very unique work. And she is in contact with beings from the galaxy of Andromeda, who we will be merging with a billion or so years from now. And so it's nice to get to know our neighbors before they move into the neighborhood. So anyway, she's great. And I'm so glad to be here. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
it's beautiful. I don't know if you guys have done a broadcast together like this, have you?
No,
No,
it's our first.
it's the first time.
I
Yeah,
love it.
we're dropping the training wheels.
Another world first. How wonderful. Well, Alex, as you know, we managed to get you on stage at the Galactic Spiritual Informers Connection, where we made history also with a full fleet of UFO and a military craft, a TR-3B. And it should have made world news. It hasn't. And of course, there are people throwing darts and saying, it was birds. Oh, my goodness. Anyway, moving along. We're going to, I know, I know. I don't know.
Fluorescent in glow in the dark birds. When have you seen that?
Never. Oh, bless them all. Bless all the ding dongs who just cannot allow the fact that we are in disclosure. It is rolling out, and the Earth Alliance and the White Hats are working in
Yeah.
tandem with the good Earth military. Actually, do you know what? Let's spend a minute on that before we go to your presentation. You talk a lot about the military, the White Hats, the Earth Alliance, Alex. And what we did, we proved, thanks to Elena Danan, who the military are well aware of, she brought a fleet of craft. At the time, she said over the hotel, she said in restricted airspace and no drone flyover, there wasn't a possibility that over the top of the hotel at 9:13 p.m. at night on the 27th of September, 2024, that it could have been anything other than flying craft. So please say a couple of words
Right.
to us on, yeah, thank you.
Well, I think the people that are poo-pooing it are one, maybe just jealous that they weren't there, that it wasn't them to see it, or two, that the structure of their identity is so fragile that they there's no way they can step outside that box to think that it's even possible. Uh, it's just you know it's a mathematical impossibility that we're alone. I was there. I've seen several TR3s during the day, so that's exactly what it was. And the other craft were definitely not um, US made or Earth made. I've seen plenty out there myself. And, you know, people are going to believe what they want. You know, you can show them the metal and they would just say, well, it was made in China. You just can't deal with that kind of denial, so you don't bother.
Mm.
What we just have to do is focus on disclosure, and those who have ears to listen and who have a heart that's open, they will hear the message and they will make up their own mind. Those that are closed, those whose cup is full of judgment, there's no room for logic. There's no room for proof. They've already made up their minds. And what you have to do is just go around them and love them from a distance. And that's all you can do. We're not here to convince anybody of anything. We're here to show you. What you do with the information and the knowledge is entirely up to them. But we present the information. We all have history in doing this. It's been a very tough road for all of us in trying to get this information out. You wanted ships, you got ships. Okay? You wanted timing, you got timing. Get over yourself. Just get over yourselves. And if that's not enough, then you might want to take a back seat in the auditorium so that you can leave first when the truth smacks you in the head. I don't know what else to tell you.
Oh, you are
I just
fun.
don't know what else to tell you.
No, that's
So,
yeah. Yeah, even some people that were there are denying. The thing was, there were birds in the sky. Again, any ding dong can tell the difference between a bird flapping its wings and a flying
yeah.
craft, a fleet of
So,
craft banking, going up into
but what
space.
about the people that had laser pointers that were hitting the metal of the ship? Do they like just that? I mean, come on. Like I said,
That was
a
me and
cup is
Dr. Michael Sala.
cup
Sorry,
that's
Alex.
full of judgment has a cup that's full of judgment has no room for anything. It's already full.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah, that was me
yeah,
and Dr. Michael Sala. Somebody handed Dr. Michael Sala the laser, and we were standing there, and he's like, "What do I do with it?" I said, "Man, I just shine it up there. Obviously, be mindful not to shine it right in the pilot's eyes of the Pleiadians, whoever was flying the craft." And it was beautiful, and it also helped guide the audience away from the birds that would pop up here and there to the craft. Because there's one of the videos where the craft are coming down, and you clearly see, for the ding dongs out there, a flock of birds.
technically they may not have been birds. They may have been bats. We have bats here. Okay. Big vampire bats. And they go for the non-believers. Just joking. Just joking.
Funny.
But we do have bats. So yeah. And they tend to flock together because of their sonar. So
Incroyable.
anyway, yeah, it was
Incroyable.
great. It was great. It was a wonderful experience. One of the best times I've ever had.
Oh,
Again,
again,
another best time.
another. Me too.
Another best time.
So beautiful. 1,000 beautiful people witness what we
Yeah,
witnessed, and it's all over the world. All right, so
there you go.
let's share your beautiful.
Let's
Go ahead.
I was going to say, let's talk about Marcelo.
Yes.
Why don't you share what I know of you and talk about what it is that you do for the Galactics of Andromeda, and um, and then I can tell everybody how awesome you are.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're on.
Well, I'm just going to say that I'm very thankful to the universe for giving me the chance to meet you both. It was a pleasure to be able to have you during my first presentation in Mount Shasta. And I follow guidance. I really do everything from my heart. So when these beings from Andromeda, that I call them light beings because they don't have a material body, they ask me to go different places and be like their messenger. That's what I do. I don't think much. I just go and talk about them. These beings come from the universe within the galaxy of Andromeda. And the pathway is going through the blue sun of Andromeda. And these beings, of course, are completely different from what we know. They live in a different vibration and frequency. That's what I call them light beings, because everything they do is based on sound and the sound of silence, frequency and vibration. And they've been here on Earth as many of the Andromedan beings helping us since the beginning, and they will be here until the end of times too. But their missions are not individual. They do different missions all over our planet. They're supporting the transformation of the planet and humanity. And in my case, I travel a lot when they need someone to be their representative to do things. So I always say that I open and I close portals. I open portals to allow those energies to come through, and sometimes even for the ships to come through, because I know for a fact that the Andromeda ships, the ones from this, specifically this place, the universe within the blue sun of Andromeda, some of them are stationed out in the cosmos. There are 4 big ones stationed outside of the Earth. They have different type of ships, but I'm not going to say, like sometimes I hear that they're all over the place. They're not. They have a specific mission. So when they need me to be in a certain place around the Earth, that's where I go. And I work by myself, and I learn how to process all those new energies and new codes into my body. And you just learn how to live in the multi-dimension. And when you do that, there's no ego, because we're just one with the highest part of ourselves. And we're here on a mission like you are, both of you are. So these beings always taught me, that no ego is the basic of everything, humbleness. And I learned through them that as we talk about consciousness, there's also something called the galactic consciousness. And they gave me 33 steps to follow. And I thought I was going to get a list, and it didn't work that way. I learned every single day of my life to complete those 33 and be ready for physical contact, not to see a ship, because a lot of people look for the phenomena, but be able to be transported into the world. That's when you just explode in atoms of light, and you're in a bliss because you're somewhere else. And that's how I learned of their existence and the mission that they have on Earth.
Excellent. Good job.
As you're gifting us your beauty, and this is the 3rd time you've been on my channel with me, which is great. So there's lots of other content. People can go find the other 2. Would you like to share screen and share some of the images that we mentioned that you would?
Yes, I want to say that these beings have a light language, that it was left from the beginning of times. It's not visible to the open eye. You have to learn how to see through and read. Sometimes it's written on the water, sometimes on the sky. So let me try to see the sharing.
There you go.
Well, this is me. I always say that I'm a link between worlds. So in this picture, I call it Connecting Worlds, because you can see the image of an ET on my blouse. So this picture was taken at the Temple of Abydos in Egypt, which is home for me. And that's where I get a lot of new codes every time I go there. And when I talk about language, it's this, that you can see the way they write. And each of those things have a meaning depending where I am, which part of the world I am. They write in very old languages and symbols. This is on the Nile and different areas in Greece, and then here in Peru too. And down below you can see that's a ship that I call the golden ship that sometimes travels with me. They also write on me. This is the way that I get different codes also. I use my hands a lot to use, not the channel, but use the energy that is flowing. And you can see they put a lot of codes on my hands so I can be able to use it when I work. They also move very fast. And sometimes when they move, there are certain type of ships that I call them like the scout ships from another ships. They travel very close to the ground, and that's what they leave, the energy field that they leave when they move so easily. I also get a lot of codes on my head, on my forehead, so I can do my work. Sometimes we spend a lot of time trying to figure out how we can see a ship, the lights, the phenomena. And for me, it's very simple because they move so fast that you can see the lights everywhere. And like this here, they always leave me hearts when I finish a mission. That's the way I know that I've done my work with an open heart. And that's how they show their appreciation of what I'm doing because they're just in front of me. And I use a lot this image of the flower of life because everything is interconnected in the universe. So at the same time that I'm doing my work, it's being done in different dimensions and it's getting higher and higher going into alignment. I always talk about solar energy because it's an alignment of the different suns in different galaxies. And here you can see many different beings, the way they're manifested. So when people talk about blonde beings, I don't know, 5 feet tall, I don't really pay much attention to it. I pay attention to what is moving in front of me. So for example, here you have blue beings, golden beings. Here you have beings in movement, but you can see their faces. These are the bold, the Andromeda bold. Some of these here are the ones that I call the child face Andromeda beings because they look like kids. And here, for example, you can see here a being. I finished work here in Peru near Cusco where I live behind me. And once I saw it, it's like, please don't move. I'm going to take a photo. So you can see it's sitting behind me, if you can see it there. And here you can see many different types of holographic images and images of beings, sometimes inside an orb or spheres, as I call them, and different ways as fast as they move when they manifest. And I love this image, I mean, for myself, because this is in the Uyuni salt flats in the side of Bolivia. And this is a huge mothership that I call the blue platinum ship that sometimes travels with me. And then here you can see many different shapes of ships. Even this one here, it's moving. The rotation system is different, so it moves very fast like this sometimes. So you can see here many different ways. This blue one down here, it's a ship that sometimes travels above my car when I go to the area where it was my father's ranch, that it was my Andromeda base a few years ago. And this is the list of the 33 steps to a galactic consciousness that I learned myself. And that's something that gets repeated. But basically from this, I would say that silence is very, very important, humbleness, and then gratitude and devotion to everything that we do. And she is Ariana. She's part of me. She is an Andromeda being that helps me in every one of my missions. You can see her face here, and what's above, it's a fan, because she manifested underneath that. Many different keepers of the land here that always work with me. Because as much as I connect with the extraterrestrial world, I also connect with the intraterrestrial world as we are one. So everything needs to be aligned and connected. So when I travel, I always ask permission from them to be able to open and work on the land and be sure that I'm welcome. This is in the Argentinian Patagonia, for example, and ice, it's a form of hydrogen in Andromeda. And I went there because these beings were waiting for me to open up the portal, the blue portal. And I was amazed the way they showed up and how they were waiting for me. Like here, you can see these beings flying, they were going back. And this is here in Cusco. You can see all these faces that are hidden in the mountains looking at us. And then here they're all higher frequency energies that move around sometimes when I'm at home, because some of this is indoors, not necessarily outdoors. And this is me getting all these codes on my forehead to make sure that any activation that I need to continue, it's done. So there's all the many different places on there. Do you have any questions for me?
Do you have that photograph of us together at Mount Shasta?
You had the golden light crossing your head. I remember very similar to this one. I don't have it in this computer, Alex. I'm very sorry.
No, that's okay. It's okay. It was a long shot.
You know, maybe I can use that image that you mentioned as the thumbnail for this video when it goes out. That would be beautiful, and people will
Yes.
have that reference.
I'll send it to you once I find it in my phone.
Perfect.
Thank you.
What's so beautiful for me is that, you know, in Alex's also presentation that's coming up, we'll also see very similar codes, especially the dancing light around the ship. And it's beautiful because you didn't know each other's, you know, images, and I do. And it's just so lovely to validate, you know, the real connections that you have.
Yep.
Thank you. It's an honor for me to be able to be talking to you, Danny and Alex today. That for me just reconfirms all the work that I do and being able to share what I do with your public, but also with the people that follow Alex and trust him 100%. There are people all over the world that follow what he says. So for me, it's an honor today to be able to talk to you both.
I'm so honored. Do you want to put us back on full screen now, love, so we can see your lovely face?
Yes.
There we go. All right. So, Alex, what would you like to say about some of those slides that you saw?
Oh, I've seen some of them before because, you know, she forwards them to me as well, as well as to you. I have absolutely no problem with any of that. I have, you know, I've talked about when I've been on the ship and then I come back, there's a period of hours, mostly extended to like 72 hours, where I'm in a completely different frequency. And I made the mistake when it first happened of going into a city, and it was terrible because I was picking up everybody else's frequency and their stress, and I, you know, I could even hear their anger. So I stopped doing that. But during that period of time now, what I do is I go back, I just go into nature, you know, and that's one of the reasons why I live in Colorado, is I'm surrounded by nature. And I see the faces. I see the spirits in the trees, you know, and if you know, most people would think you're nuts, but everything's alive. Everything has a frequency, a soul, a consciousness, everything. And you know, I could walk into the forest and squirrels and chipmunks would follow me, you know, and I don't have any food, you know, I didn't bring any snacks. And sometimes it's areas where I've never been before, or on a trail I've been before, and they would just tag along, rabbits, they would just hop, you know, behind me, along with me, following me. And it's more so the frequency, you know, they pick up on the resonance themselves. So it's been really pretty interesting. So and I know Marcella. We've talked for several years. What has it been? 6, 7, 8 years now?
Maybe so.
Yeah. So you know, we've gotten to know each other well. And, you know, she's the real deal, guys. She's the real deal. And I just think the world of her. And she's humble and she's shy. And you know, and that's because, you know, she knows that she has an obligation to share this information, but she also knows that the information will fly into the belief systems of other people. And because she's humble and shy, I think, well, no one likes to get shot at or take the hits. So, don't, you know, don't, don't mistake her humbleness and her shyness, her weakness is just she's just a very openly hearted soul that wants to help humanity. And she's blessed to have a great family and a wonderful partner. And she's doing her thing like the rest of us, trying to wake up humanity and introduce us to higher frequencies, because ladies and gentlemen, that's where we're going, and that's her contribution, is to open up portals and allow the frequency to come into the earth. It's like the crop circles. Each crop circle is different. Each crop circle has a frequency. Each crop circle has a message to it, even though we don't know what it is because we look at it three-dimensionally. We don't see the spiritual aspects or frequencies of it. And those that do are not sharing that. This is very much like what she's doing, except she's not leaving crop circles. She's leaving just frequency. They're not harming the land. They're just fine-tuning the land and the planet itself. So that's what she's a part of. And it's important work. So
Thank you.
thank you.
That's such a beautiful validation for Marcela and her great work. And again, looking at the way she speaks and the way she resonates, I always feel an emotional presence, with her. And I know that people watching you again, Marcela, they'll feel that too. Those who genuinely want to connect to truth and reality. The difference in you and, let's say, other presenters or content makers on YouTube that are looking to be part of the Galactic experience that's happening right now, and how we have to discern, and it's so difficult. The way that you and Alex put information out is so similar, and you have your proof. You take all your pictures, you do the work, you go around the world all of the time, and you are so quiet about it, and I'm so proud to have you here. And also because you are not promoting any of the gray psyops or the spiritual, there's nothing called new age. That's completely, there's everything is as it was. And that word new age was a socially engineered word to create people to go off track, and then think that we're all connecting to every omnipresent being in the universe, and and then dilute our information. And your information is so pure. So again, we keep saying it: Galactic Federation of Light, run away, stay away. It is a false psyop. It will take you down a very dark road, one that is very much orchestrated and run by grey ETs who still have hybrids on the planet. They're normally beautiful, pretty girls with sexy voices that look amazing, and they just lure you in. And even if those girls, those poor little girls, don't realize they're hybrids, or they openly do, some of them do, you just got to be really mindful, guys. Marcela, let's talk a little bit about that, because we've been conversing this week, which is why we wanted to come together and put truth back into the field with Alex Collier. What are your thoughts on the great ETs and the different lies, the wrong information that people are putting out in the field so they can look cool and galactic?
Well, for me, even contact is always a ceremony. So I would say that when I talk about Andromeda and the Andromedas, as they call them, it's a spiritual connection. So there's no other thing in that besides the very deep heart connection. And when we talk about the grays, we all know that they've been here. They're still here through people. And then sometimes people mistaken the idea of doing things, contact, meditation, channeling, and it really needs to be from your heart. And sometimes, because I don't do it often, but when I am part of a conference and I speak in front of a lot of people, I always say, if you're looking at a ship and you're telling me that you've been in contact with somebody or some ship, I always say you should know who you're being in contact with. What are you looking for? What kind of ship are you looking for? Why are you looking at the sky waiting for what? Because not everything that flies is a ship. Not everything that it has lights is a UFO. There are a lot of things that don't happen. I was in Shasta in July, and a lot of people were so happy and screaming because all those lights passed by, when actually the ship was already on the ground, and everything that was happening, it created this amazing circle of energy around it, so people would be invited, but they didn't see it because everybody was looking above. So that confuses people. And when you talk about the grays and the hybrid people, I think they need to be more specific of what they're doing, who they're channeling, why are those directing those energies to different groups of people. Because when you go to conferences or YouTube, there are lots of people that listen that they don't know at the basic, or maybe they don't know nothing. So they get convinced very easily. So I would suggest people just to open their hearts, really feel it in their heart, follow their intuition. Don't expect other people to tell them the truth. They have to follow their own truth.
I'm going to come straight to the point, my love. One of the things that you reached out to me about when you were so very emotional and very, very upset and hurt for the truth of Andromeda and her beauty and grace and the information of these beautiful beings, was that somebody was putting lies into the field, and still are. And they were talking about child rescue, that this commander or whatever fantasy is rescuing Andromeda's rescuing children. Please, can you put the information correct?
Well, the first thing I would say that everybody calls them the Andromedans, but Andromeda, it's a huge galaxy. It has a constellation, many different stars, it has different suns, many, many things. So when people talk about Andromeda, they need to be specific about who they are channeling or following or in contact with. As probably you know, there's also non-nobility in the cosmos, and there are no commanders like everybody is a commander. If there's ever a commander, they will introduce themselves with a name and with their face. So you can be able to take a photo of them to make sure who they are. I don't think Andromeda goes on a specific missions on the Earth like rescuing children. Probably there are other beings, or they contact human beings to do it. But I wouldn't say that the Andromedans are doing it, because their work is much higher than that. They do a lot of missions in the universe, different areas of the cosmos, and the way they help the Earth and humanity is different. So I wouldn't agree with that statement that they're rescuing. Maybe they're giving people the information on how to do it, but I don't think they're doing it themselves.
Beautiful.
Let me see if I have this right, without mentioning any names. There's an individual who's talking about the Andromedans being part of the alliance, an active member of an alliance that involves the Greys. And of course, you and I both know that that's complete horseshit. But why don't you talk about that? And also at the same meeting, they were first talking about being Venusian, and then by the end of a conversation, they were talking about their Andromedan family. They just went into a whole nother phase of or another personality of going from being a Venusian to an Andromedan. Why don't you, without mentioning any names, go into that? Okay.
Well, I think first people should know that Andromeda it's another galaxy. It's not part of the Milky Way. It's the closest, yes, but it's pretty far away. So when they talk about Venus, Jupiter, and any of that, we're still talking about the Milky Way. So sometimes people confuse that they're the same, and they're not. They're different things. And then Andromeda and people on Earth, either being on a human body or being here, being an Andromeda being on a human body also. There were just a few, and I think all of us know each other. At least we know where we are on Earth. So when people come now saying, "Oh, the Andromedans, the Venusians," it's just very commercial. I think that's a big issue. I don't know too many people in the world of conferences or any of that. I just know what I was told and what I've seen and what I've learned through my own experience. And there's a lot of commercial stuff in the middle. So whatever theme is coming above, that's why they use it, like the children. Soon there will be something else, and the climate and all that. And that is not true, because I think Andromeda, knowing who they are and what they do, they have a specific mission on Earth. As you know, Alex, they can do many things. Even, for example, my Andromeda family during the time of COVID, here in Peru, we suffered so much because there was no oxygen. So many of the scout ships of a big Andromeda motherships that it's above Peru, they were sending hydrogen and oxygen to clean the mountains here in Peru so people can survive. But it's a different type of mission than rescuing children. And then in the conferences, I met some people also that everybody is Venusian, everybody is Andromedan or whatever. It doesn't make any difference at the end because we're here not to remember who we were. We're here to remember we are human beings on Earth, learning how to be humans and to complete a mission more than anything. So the labels are not useful because I met a lot of people that are the prince, the queen, and all of this, and it doesn't work that way in the cosmos, you know.
Right, right. Yeah, some of us are just galley cooks, you know. Right. So, yeah, and you know, your group is from the Andromedan galaxy. Mine is from the constellation, from the Zenithal star system. Uh, so technically, I guess we would call them Zenithals, you know. So, but yeah, you know, you're absolutely right. Everybody has their lane, and everybody has a specific talent that they're using to contribute to the healing and then the ascension of the earth and humanity as well. So, but they operate alone. They're they're known for their neutrality, which is why a lot of other conflicts or other star nations go to them for advice or for mentoring because they don't get caught up in anyone else's drama, but they observe. And that being the observer gives them a very unique perspective on how to solve conflicts and gives them the ability to hone down to exactly what the issue is within any one civilization that they need to correct within themselves in order to resolve outside conflicts. So, yeah, it's a unique talent, and that's their lane. That's specifically their lane.
You
Well,
know,
and that's how we are too. We're here on Earth. We have individual work. We don't work with a lot of people. We just do
Yeah.
our thing.
Yep, it's a lonely road.
it's interesting as well to note how respected the Andromedans truly are, how much power they actually do wield, and how much respect they get from other nations, the Pleiadians, the Syrians, etc. And Alex, years ago, you and I had an actual experience where you came to me to ask me to approach somebody who was putting negative information into the field that was affecting potentially the life of somebody on a craft. And because, so you want to talk a little bit about that?
Without mentioning any names,
Mm.
I had just had a contact with Mornay, and he let me know about a situation that was brewing that would have affected not only myself at some point, a little bit further down the road, but people that I cared about. And I had approached Danny about this because the information regarded others that she had direct access to at the time. And so I approached Danny with a piece of information, and um, the synchronicity was stunning because I wasn't in communication with the others that this information was about. And I shared it with Danny, and Danny pushed the information down the line. And lo and behold, um, one of the other people had just gotten the same information from one of their contacts, you know. So there was a great deal of synchronicity. So we knew where it was going. And the way this had been set up, it was to create a domino effect of taking down several genuine people and truthers in order to replace this one person as the figurehead. And the Greys were all over her. The Greys were all over her. So, and it may still be to some degree. But of course, back to something Danny said earlier, a young, beautiful woman, um, drawing everybody in, especially the male energy, which is very susceptible to that shit, that kind of frequency, and then twist it and turn it upside down. So, God, I wish we could mention names, but we really shouldn't. But anyway, yeah, that have I recalled it correctly? It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a few years since we had to do that. And it's great because, we all know that there are brand new people coming into the field. They're waking up every day. And it's like when we did our conference, Galactic Spiritual Informers, Alex, who's already retired, I managed to, I don't know how I did it, but something in him and me just connected in a way that he's got to get on that stage this year. Alex is the most humble man, and that is a absolute Andromedan through and through, as you can see with Marcella too. Alex is the guy. So, like the first night of the conference, when we were all there the night before, I took everybody out for a birthday dinner because Dr. Michael Sala had a birthday. So we all met up at a country and western bar because he likes country and western music. And Alex is the man, and he tells me off all the time, and he doesn't like me to say things about him because he's not always bigging himself up. I do that for him for free. But Alex is the guy who's going over to a security guard and making sure he's got birthday cake. Or it was a banana pie we got, Dr. Michael, wasn't it? That was his favorite thing. And Alex is the guy who, gathers a crowd of people and he's paying for everyone's pizza. It's just who Alex Collier is at his core. And it was amazing. And I think I've just gone off track a little bit here because I'd made a note about buying pizza and feeding the bodyguard because you're just a joy, and people know not to mess with you, and that's why you have the connections that you do. And all of us people try and get in the back door. People always trying to get to Elena Danan, and I understand that. But what's happening now is I think it's even more important for us to stand stronger together and put the information right that people are misconstruing, because it's not fair for them. And when Alex stood on that stage and he explained, which we're going to show in a minute, that's okay, what the ships look like, what they are, I asked the audience, please raise your hands if you've all seen that information before. And hardly anyone put their hand up, and there was pretty much 1,000 people in that room. So Alex has been doing the work for 30 years, and we assume and we hope the information has reached people. It's been stopped, it's been blocked, it's been changed, it's been cancelled. So again, we're kicking ass, we're taking names, and we're putting truth back into the field. Are we ready to share the presentation, Alex Collier?
Yes, ma'am, we are.
All righty, Roo, then. One second. Elena, Jean-Charles, Tony Rodriguez, JP, Michael Sala, Lee Merritt, etc., etc. Guess what? Guess what? Oh, you're going to love me. Spaceships have consciousness. Humans are programmed to think in 3D concepts. We know that. Our ET brothers and sisters have breathtaking technology, and now on Earth, so do we. Our next guest is greatly respected for his duty and his sacrifice to bring this information to planet Earth. It gives me the greatest honor, literally, to welcome the Knight of Terror, the Andromedan, Alex Collier. I got him out of retirement. You're welcome.
Those are all booze, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm
You really
rusty.
gotta play it.
I'm very rusty. Thank you. It's been an honor. It's always an honor and a privilege. And thank you, all of you, from wherever you've come to support and be the sponsors of exopolitics in this movement. It's so important. And it means everything. You know, for decades, we were kooks, nut jobs. Insane. You know, and here we are. We're all insane. You know, and it eventually the whole planet's going to become an asylum, you know. So thank you so much. The speakers, Tony is just fantastic. He's really come into his own, and I couldn't be more prouder of him. Elena, you brought the heat. You've always brought the heat, but last night that shut everybody up, and it should. Jean-Charles, I don't know what to say. Magnifique. Oh. I've been asked to talk about starships, and I want to just add a couple things, pieces of information that I have. Jean-Charles, a lot of the weapons that you used on Mars or on your missions with the Solar Warden were never given to the Dark Space Force. There were things put in place to make sure they never had it. And when the Alliance members came down to Earth and they started helping us clean out the dumps, they were given specific weapons and training. And then when the missions were over, they removed those weapons from the hands of our guys. And the deeper they went, the Alliance forces, I'm referring to the extraterrestrials, would go first because they could adapt to the pressures. And then they would use levitation devices to bring the bodies and things back to the surface where our teams were ready to take them to the surface or to destroy the bodies or whatever they were going to do with them. So there was a lot of things going on, and there's still some things going on. And I've been made aware that one of the last dumb areas in Australia is being cleaned out as we speak, and that's under Brisbane. Okay. Yeah, it's under Brisbane. So if we have any folks here from Brisbane, I did meet somebody. So Australia, you're almost done. All right. You're going to get your country back. The amazing Mr. Adair is in the house. I have a slide presentation, and my guys from the Zenithé constellation, Andromeda, they're fifth density. And it is really hard to find slides or anything that are exactly what it is. A lot of the things that are in 5D, I could not even see because my mind, my consciousness had no idea what it was looking at. And therefore it's either gray or dark gray, almost to black. And the time that I have spent with them, now Morine ship is one thing because I've spent a lot of time there. But on their mothership, I didn't spend a lot of time there. I just had this one brief time, and it took literally 45 days, I'm told, because when you're in space, you kind of lose time. You have no idea. There is no clock, there is no watch. And I started to see some things, but for the most point, for most of the time that I was there, Morine would take me by the arm and he would guide me around so I wouldn't fall off a bridge, trip into a creek or something that I had no idea was there. And you know, I felt like a toddler, but it was, you know, in hindsight, it was absolutely necessary. So talking about starships, I guess we just do this. My right is here. Yeah. Their ships are spherical. Now they have scout craft and they're of all different sizes and shapes, but their host ship, which many of us call motherships, are spherical. And they find that that's the perfect shape for their environment, which is predominantly 5D. Now, they do drop down into lower dimensions. They have that ability. And what's really interesting is, and you have to understand this, and I've talked to JP, and JP, I don't know if you're here, if you're in the room listening, I'm extremely proud of you. Well done. You know, well done. You did great. They can come in and they can create a space here in our dimension, third dimension. But let's say it's 100 meters. And yet on the inside, it's a mothership. It's a mothership. Okay. Now it's very difficult to comprehend because we just simply don't understand that. And that's because their ships are built in a completely different way and in a completely different dimension. And the higher you go in dimension, the more expansive everything is. So when they come down, they can literally decide how much space they're going to take in 3D. Their motherships, they're at least 800 miles in diameter. They have multiple levels. Each level has a park area inside that's approximately in our mathematics is approximately 20 miles wide. And they have their housing all around the park. In the park are animals. Nothing, they have things that would be similar to squirrels, but I can't tell you the colors because we don't have those colors in our realm. They're in a dimensional frequency of 225. We're 72. Okay. So you can just imagine what it's like. The children levitate. Okay. When they move, they glide literally. And when they choose to sit down, they do. A lot of times they will just hover, and they're adorable. They're absolutely adorable. They're all telepathic. So unless they communicate with you directly, you don't hear anything that they're saying. A lot of smiles. I have shared a story in the past that I play a lot of contemporary jazz in the car and in the house, but especially when I'm in the car. And they were intrigued by the music and the depth of the music. So I'm like, okay, so I made a CD for them of some of my faves. And I have presented that to Mornay, and they have the technology to pull the information off of anything. And they've asked for several CDs, so they now have several CDs. But what's really interesting is that the children really like the music. They like the depth, they like the beat. Now, they don't want anything that has song lyrics. They don't want any singing, they just want the music. And when I asked them, they said, well, because that's the energy of the writer of the music. That is the energy of the musicians. That tells us what and who they are, because it's their frequency in the music, the way they play it. And that's all. And that's important when we get to the end here. Okay, it's about frequency. Everything's about frequency. When they travel in these starships, they have everything. They are complete worlds. Okay, everything they have the orchards, they have everything inside. They have the ability to build ships from scratch on these starships. And none of their ships are built on the ground. They're all built in space. So they're not built to actually touch down. Wherever they go, they hover. And JP told you about that with the Nordics today. All the ships were hovering. That means they're built off world. Okay, that's important to remember as we get closer and closer to contact. Because I'm third density, in order to be on board with them, they created a belt for me. And this belt creates a third dimensional atmosphere around me. So the minute I come up, okay, when they come, they hover, they send a blue beam of light down, I get in and I walk right into it. It disassembles me and boom, like that, seconds. And then I'm on board. And this container that you see, this energy field is 3D, and they will reach in and put the belt on me. And as long as I wear the belt, I can be in their space. And this belt takes elements of their atmosphere and convert it so that my body can exist there. It even changes the gravity inside my field as long as I wear the belt. It's remarkable technology. And I even asked, I said, well, if I was wearing this belt and I went underwater, would I drown? He said, no, but we're not giving it to you. I'd have that in manufacturing so quick, right? But it's awesome, and I can actually touch. I can't go outside of the frequency of the belt, but they can easily reach in as well. And you know, when I'm with them and I'm wearing this belt, I have to tell you, I've never ever felt more safe. And I can't even explain it to you what it's like. The inside of their ships are very plain, very simple. But what's interesting is that, and other contactees would know this, Lena, I'm sure, knows this. When you're walking down the hallway, everything's lit up, but you do not know where the light's coming from. You know, you just don't know. And what's interesting is that I've heard people, special forces people, talk about when they're exploring some of the extraterrestrial facilities that they've uncovered under the ice. They have walked into rooms that are miles long, and the minute they walk into it, the walls just light up. And these things have been there for tens of thousands or millions of years, and they still operate. You know, they don't build obsolescence up there. They're not Fords. Okay. They don't build anything that's obsolescent. Everything is built to be forever. It's really remarkable. And of course, technology changes, but you know, their throwaway is future for us, it seems like. Now, what's also interesting about the walls is that at any time, if there's a telepathic message, let's say I'm walking down the hall with Mornay and he gets a message from his crew, that's something, all he does is walk to the wall in any part of the wall, touches the wall, and monitors holographically appear everywhere. And he can look for himself at the information that they're seeing inside the cabin, the control cabin. And then he will, you know, telepathically give them instructions of what to do. And then he'll look at me and say, let's go. So, I mean, it's like Danny had said, the ship's alive. It's part of the crew, and the crew is part of it. And we'll get to that in a minute. Let me go back one more thing. I can't go back. Okay. Okay. Because of the nature of the ship and how they're built, Mornay's ship, when it comes in, is roughly 30 to 35 meters. That's the space they choose to take inside our third density. Inside, it's enormous. It has hangars, cargo areas, sleeping quarters. It has medical quarters. And what's really interesting is that it has 7 levels. All right. And you're looking at the outside of this and you're saying, well, it's pretty small, you know, but when you get inside, it's just like, oh my God, it's enormous. So it's very deceiving in that way. What's really interesting is that the ship has the ability to change its size on the inside to make it much larger or much smaller. It can even add decking floors inside the craft. All they do is ask it to do it, and it happens. It's extraordinary. You know, it's almost like a video game, but it's not. And they do intensively use holographic technology. The cargo areas are remarkable. Now, here's how they build their ships. All their ships are built in space. And what they do is they grow the frame of the ship. It's organic. It is some kind of an alloy that is organic, that has the ability to transform its own shape. Okay? It holds consciousness. Some of it is that of the crew, some of that is source, and some of that is AI. Right? Now, the AI specifically will only manage certain programs of the operation of the ship. They don't give it full operation because if something happens to the AI, then they don't know what to do. So it only has limited ability. But what it's really, really good at is that navigation, the navigation of systems. So they grow these ships, and what they'll do is they'll take it in pieces. And what's interesting is that they have a basic standard size that they grow the components, the structure of the ship. And what they'll do is they'll overlay it. They will hit it with some kind of a sound frequency, and this expedites the merging of the pieces into one solid piece. Okay, it'll just come in and lay on top, and they'll hit it with this frequency, and now it is one solid piece, virtually indestructible. And they will do the same thing with other components and pieces. Let me go to the next slide. Okay, and then what they'll do is they will add one or two different levels, I think. And what they will do at that point is, okay, one or two levels. And then what happens after that is that they grow the outside, the shell of the ship. Now, the shell of the ship is made of the same component, this specific organic living alloy, but they add other things to it, other components that we would consider crystalline structure, because the outside of the ship is not only alive, it can not only change its shape, but it also can repair itself. Now, I know that we have some of that kind of technology on Solar Warden. And I think some of the Earth forces even have something like that. But they're on a completely different level. And literally the ship can change its shape, and it can also heal its skin as it's in flight. It doesn't have to park somewhere and wait. The ship is doing this itself as they're moving. It can also change the texture of the outside of the craft as well. Let's say they're going through a specific portal where there's very heavy gravity. The outside of the ship will strengthen itself based on the information it's giving. In other words, it will thicken itself in order to withstand the gravitational fields. And then once they're through that and there's no further concern, it will go back to a very thin sheath. I'm having a hard time describing this because there's nothing like it here. And in this dimension, there's just nothing like it. And there are things that I've seen that I can't even explain to you because there aren't any words for it. So once the ship is built and it has a couple of levels on the inside, what happens is, and again, the whole time this is happening, it's floating. All right. It never touches the ground or any surface. There is a platform underneath the ship, and the crew, one at a time, will go stand on this platform. This platform will then rise up to the bottom of the ship. The crew members will put their hands on the ship itself, okay? And what happens is that this frequency goes through their bodies, into the ship, through them. And what this does is this records their DNA, their frequency, their consciousness, everything that is unique to them, their song, their frequency, into the craft. And they will do this for all the crew members. And if you are not a crew member, you will never, ever get inside any of these ships. It will not happen. And then let's say a crew member dies, they don't remove that member because he is a part of the ship. What they do is they'll add another crew member if necessary, and another crew member, and another crew member. So they are always part of the ship. Okay, the past, because of their frequency, their memory, who they were, they always take the crew members with them, or at least their frequency, no matter what. And, you know, this is such a bad picture, but you know, this is what the suit, the energy field of the suit sort of looks like. It was the only thing that I could even come close to. And so let's just move on from that. The bedding quarters are very simple, very plain. In my entire experience with them, with Mornay and his crew, I've never seen any of them take naps. So I just know that this exists, these bedding quarters, and it could be that these are used for other passengers, other contacts that they make, whether it's fourth density or fifth. I know that they spend a great deal of time on rescue missions where stars are destabilizing, and they will go and they will assist other civilizations or colonies and remove them from the danger and take them someplace else. Holographic camera. I've talked about this for years. We call them med beds. Every ship they build has one. And for those of you who aren't familiar with my work, how this works is they will put you on this table. They will take a holographic picture of you. Now, this camera has the ability to take a picture of us holographically, or them holographically, all the way back to conception. And then what they will do is they have this monitor. They can go through this camera and through the monitor, and they can choose when your body was the absolute healthiest. And they can program that in, and then the holographic camera will then holographically project into the body a brand new liver, brand new kidneys, brand new heart, grow limbs, and it's done so fast you can't even imagine. And then they just get up off the table and they go right back to work. It's remarkable. Now, this technology has been around. The fact that, you know, Jean-Charles and Tony have talked about this technology, and so have others talked about this, that, you know, our space fleet has it, and even the dark fleet has it. You know, they have some of this technology, but it's been withheld from us for a very long time. And isn't it interesting that we can go and build colonies on other planets, and we can't take care of our problems right here on Earth? You know, it's because they don't want to. They simply don't want to. So we have to do it. We have to fix this. Okay? And the first thing we have to do is fire all the decision makers, because they're idiots. If you've seen an Andromedan ship traveling through space, this is what it would look like. It would look like a very large teardrop, or a medium size or a small teardrop traveling through space. And that's the field around themselves. Science vessels. This is actually the only slide that's really pretty good. They have science vessels where they do planetary archaeology. And not only in fifth density, but fourth density as well. They spend a lot of time in fourth because they want to understand about civilizations and about consciousness. They don't know everything. None of them do. Because if they did, there would be no need for 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, or 12th density. So they're learning just as we are. I can't remember who it was. One of my esteemed colleagues here said, well, they're trying to figure out who they are. You know, who they themselves are and who we are. And I have to tell you, they're just so impressive. You know, physically they're perfect. Physically they're all beautiful, gorgeous, or handsome. You know, and I've told this story about one of the first few times I met Mornay and I was in his presence. You know, he's like 7.5 feet tall, 450 pounds, and he's just boom, you know, rock solid. And I was so intimidated. I mean, you know, it's just like, oh my God, this guy's a god, you know. They don't act like it, but they look like a god. It's amazing. But their science vessels go all over. They do all kinds of work. They record, they heal. They are working with other spacefaring nations to terraform in their own density. Sometimes in fourth, they will assist or consult other planets. I mean, there is so much going on that we don't realize. It's even greater than the science fiction movies we see. Okay, there's so much more to it, and there's so much more to ourselves as well. You have to understand that every one of you that has soul, you have to understand this. If you get nothing else out of this, please understand this. Your soul came from source, and source is above all of it. You understand? You are not winning ninnies. You are part of all that is. You will always be part of all that is. They know it. The others know it. The dark side knows it. We're the only ones who haven't gotten hold of that information and know it. We know it now. I love this part. When they stop somewhere and they decide to take a sabbatical, or they are going to share the space, what they'll do is they'll begin to open up their shield. This is part of the opening up of the shield of their craft. This is, of course, a mothership, Starship. And the hull just kind of opens up. Okay. And when they close their shield and they get ready, this is the best representation I could have. It's not exact in any way, shape, or form. But when they get ready to, and they close their shields and they're getting ready to teleport somewhere, this is what it looks like. The ship glows and then it's gone. Now, what's interesting is their navigation system, and it doesn't matter which dimension we're in, they have mappings of everything. And the contact between their race and all other spacefaring races is phenomenal. If there's any changes in the galaxy, that information is shared with everyone. Okay, it's put out there. So it's not like, well, we didn't get the memo. The rally map wasn't accurate. We hit a sun. It's not like that at all. Okay, they're all on board together. Everybody shares information. It's the law of consistency, which is what all benevolent races share, is the law of consistency. Whatever they know, they share upline. So everybody has it. Okay, including their own people, especially their own people, even their young people. Even if they can't comprehend it, the information is shared with them nonetheless. Listen to the music for a minute. We got it. Thank you. That's what their ship sounds like. Yes. It's a song. Okay, the ship is a song. It also, even Mornay's ship sounds like this. They don't hear it anymore because they're so used to it. But I always hear it when I go on there. There's also a smell. It's a floral smell that, and I've tried. I cannot identify it at all. Now, this piece of music is by Stephen Roach, and it's the closest thing, because I love music, that I can find that resembles the sound of their ship. It's as if the ship is taking a breath in, then out, and then the is like a heartbeat. It's exactly what it reminds me of. And here you can see that the shield is open and there are ships moving about all over the place. And if you look, it's hard to see because I had no way to blow this up. You can see it's like a scale of frequency of music. And that's because everything is frequency, everything is music. And it doesn't matter the dimension, that's just the way it is. Everything is sound and frequency. It's as if God, the source, is a DJ and we are all the songs that it's playing. Okay, we all have a different song. We all have a different frequency. Even the A's, every single one is unique in its own way. And it's just extraordinary. And they will dance up and around. Now, this picture was taken because Kodak, back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, would release a camera that had no battery in it. There was no flash. Okay, it was just camera, click, and you get the exposure. It was specifically for daylight use only. They don't make those anymore because things that are electric won't work in fifth density unless it's their tech. So, and here's the shield is open. You can see it looks like Saturn, and the ships are all dancing around. Now, I was in Mornay's ship taking this picture when this was going on, and these are other ships. This is when we were approaching the mothership for my stay, and I was there approximately 90 days. So that's Andromedan ships. That's Andromedan ships. That's Andromedan technology. We are. Oh, okay. Sorry. So, so we have technology here that is hundreds, if not 1,000 years ahead of what we know commercially. And I simply do not understand the thinking about not sharing it with humanity. I simply don't. I simply cannot understand the thinking of Agenda 21, Agenda 30, or the UN just passing their latest resolution to eliminate 95% of the population because we're of no use to them. We definitely have this all wrong. They're the ones that need to go, not us. Okay. This kind of thinking is just insanity, simply insanity. And the biggest journey we're all on is to discover who we are. Each one of us has our own path. Each one of us has our own dreams. Each one of us has our own song. And each one of us has our own destiny. You may not know what it is. You may not know the reasons why. That doesn't necessarily matter. What does matter is that you find a way to hear your own frequency because you have one. And when you meet people that you know, or that you feel like you've met them and you've known them forever, those are people who have a very similar frequency, but it is not the exact frequency. Okay? It's not always about karma. Some of it is, but it's not always about karma. And I just want to say it's been an honor and privilege to stand before you once again. And I think I'm done. Thank you, Danny.
The great Andromedan Alex Collier. Wow. I invited him to step out of retirement and he did. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? And I gave him the whole rest of the time allocated. Sorry about that last slide. We're not going there. Just in case he didn't want to continue. And the information he shared is so chronically important, isn't it? Like, how many of you have actually heard that information before from Alex Collier? Please show me a show of hands. Wow. Not many. Not many. Isn't that amazing? So you're welcome again. Yeah, yeah. Oh my God, I can't stand it. It's just too exciting. And we haven't even got to David Adair or Dr. Christiane Northrup yet. Oh, I'm going to explode. Anyway, so we're going to break for lunch. I'm going to do a book signing if you guys want to bring your books, those that have them. Sorry. I hope we're not going to sit there like Nelly no mates. But anyway, please adjourn, get your... That was amazing. That was amazing, Alex Collier. Woo! Oh, you're mute, darling. Mute.
That's the first time I've seen it.
Oh.
Not bad.
But it's awesome and it's real. That's how it is. Actually, that's how it is. You're just telling the truth. Thank you.
Well, what else would I do?
Amazing. So people know exactly what it is.
Yeah. So, so we're good. Listen, I have a previous commitment, so I'm going to leave you two beautiful ladies to finish up, button up, if that's okay.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Alex, and thank you for writing.
Thank you so much.
Correcting the information, the wrong information, and now we still continue to protect the Andromedans, Andromeda, our information, the ships, and everything. So thank you, sir.
You're very welcome.
Thank you very much.
Marcela, I know you'll button this up. Okay, Danny, thank you for the honor and the privilege again.
I love you.
I love you too. Take care, girl. Ladies, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right, beautiful. Marcela Velasco, Andromeda contactee, and very much physically able to prove that. Give us some of your thoughts on what we just witnessed there. Anything you wish in particular to highlight?
Well, I want to thank Alex first because he's sharing his truth. I believe everything he said. I had the same experience as him being aboard a ship and different other places. So I'm very thankful that he talks about it. And I hope he comes back. I hope he comes back every time you invite him.
Me too.
Because he has so much information and it's important that people know, and maybe this is the right time. There's so many people awakening, so many people that need to know the truth. And they need to know how the ships are, because even myself, when I talk, I always say, oh yeah, the ships look like so thin and so flat, but inside they're huge. They're just huge. So everything he said is very true. And I'm glad that he shared all that with your public and the people that attended your conference. I hope he does it again.
Yeah, me too. You know, it definitely took some encouragement. And what I did, how I set it up was I had my own time to present on angels, demons, and aliens and their frequency and how you can tell the difference and many other things. And, you know, because I know that information is crucial. And for a lot of the religious people that, you know, read the Bible or whatever, or hear or quote Bible, it doesn't really matter. But what does matter is they're putting out misinformation. And they're saying that aliens are demons, and that's a lie. And what that does, it stops people opening their hearts to the reality that we are a galactic connected universe and solar system. We have to stop that lie. So I decided that I would focus on what I feel and know I can put into the field as a true experiencer, paranormal experiencer, ET experiencer, angel experiencer. And then I thought, wow, I really want to pull Tony Rodriguez on stage so that we can put back into the field his intel on Mars, that it is stuffed full of Earth military, American military, many enslaved people there, known by the dark military, the dark programs, the shadow governments, etc. I wanted him also to speak again about the moon, the military bases on the moon. It's old news to many of us, but for some people, they're just waking up to this. I wanted Jean-Charles to step on stage and talk about the smart suits that he wore when he was in a space program. They call it secret space programs, not secret anymore. And I needed Elena Danan to stand on stage and talk again about the Greys and the reptilians that were in agreement with the American government, where they were allowed to kidnap a certain amount of people, and that was known. Those are the Greys and the reptilians, the Draco Sakar reptilians, some of the Nebu, horrible lot. That just got a chill right through me. The awful Nebu Greys, and yes, so removed. And I wanted her to remind that because it's truth. And then I said to Alex, I so would love you to share the consciousness of the ships, how they're built, how they're layered up, because people are putting bad and wrong information. The YouTube wannabe galactic people, they're just mixing up information. You've also shared with me your concerns about people at conferences telling lies, just making stuff up, and it hurts humanity. And so that's why we're doing this. And then I said to Alex, right, there's about, I don't know, I said, I'm just going to give you the rest of the time on my presentation, and I was so thrilled that he took it. He's like, I'll do 5 minutes. And he's like, I'll do 10 minutes. And he's like, I'm not doing it. I've retired. I'm like, please, please, the information's so important. And then he says, nobody wants to hear what I have to say, Danny. Can you believe it?
Oh, no, because all over the world, everybody wants to hear him. It's like, for example, I didn't know that in Argentina, many people read his books in Spanish, and many people would love to hear everything he wants to say. So I think it's a gift that he keeps coming back, and that you have the chance to bring him back so people can listen to him and to you too.
Yeah, no, I love it. It's wonderful. And again, it's good to include some of our history, my and Alex together in this disclosure reality that's rolling out. We're not waiting for it to happen. And I'm concerned that people use the right information on the truth of all of the things happening, but also that they recognize that we're not waiting for disclosure. We're in it, all of us, every soul on the planet. They're on the journey. We're all together, all of us. There's no separation. There's no elite. There's no divide. We're all doing what we came here to do, and it's all right. It's all right. I made some notes, but he had to get to his other appointment today. So anyway, I love and adore you, and I'm so happy to get you back on the channel again. And
Thank you so much.
Oh my God, Marcela, are you kidding me? You are so necessary to the Andromedan information, and your photographs are amazing. And how lovely when I said that there was a slide coming up with Alex, which is the ship dancing, and it emits the frequency. And how many of your slides had that same coding and that frequency? And that's something.
Oh, most of what I do is based on that, because it's frequency and vibration. And wherever I go, and like when the ships are above me, that's the light they show me, and that's what I see, and I take photos of that because I move between it, and that's when I start using my hands, because that it's there to use it, not to raise the frequency of the planet or the specific place or the people.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, my love, let's bring
Thank you.
this wonderful, wonderful broadcast to an end. I'm so excited to share this with people. So excited. So now the people that copy other people's work, at least you're putting the truth out there and there's no more confusion. So do it and get it right and protect the information and protect the honor of these gracious Andromedan beings. What would you like to say to the audience?
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Well, I would just to say that there's always a free will in everything, that people need to pay attention to what they hear, to what they see, and just trust it with your heart. Know what is truth, what is not, what resonates with you or not. Because as I said before, everything is based on energy, frequency, and vibration. And that's up to us to see what's the best for humanity, for our planet, and for the entire cosmos.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much. I just want to let people know also watching that we'll be having another 2025, 2 more GSICs, Galactic Spiritual Informers Connection. We're going to have one in England in a few months in May 2025. And we are going to guarantee again another giant UFO flyover, except that these UFOs, they're not unidentified objects. They are certainly not UAPs. What a ridiculous statement. Let's get rid of that word. It's the military and it's the government trying to psyop you to go a different way. No, they are identified spacecraft. Identified spacecraft. And we are going to guarantee the date, the day, the time between the Eastbourne Pier in England and the Wish Tower Hill over the English Channel, over the sea. We are guaranteeing another identified spacecraft fleet for you to witness with your own eyes. And we
That's so wonderful.
isn't it? To be able to say that, Marcela. We just did it on the 27th of September, 2024. And some people that were even there saying it was birds. Oh, bless you. Sit down and be. Disclosure continues whether you object to it or not, whether you want to be the most famous person. Why would you care? Get the job done. That's what I'm here to do. Marcela Velasco.
Yeah, you please continue doing your amazing work. I really thank you so much for everything you do for humanity every single day. And I think it's very, very important that the truth comes out and we're able to say our own truth. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Honestly, without your information too, come on. I'm just the one with the foghorn, saying, come on, guys, let's go. Let's share it all. Let's share it all as much as we can. You're amazing. You're amazing. All right. So to you people out there, my name is Danny Henderson. I do send you love from my heart to yours. And I know that you're going to be so thrilled Alex spoke here with Marcela. I will put Marcela's details underneath the broadcast. You can go get her website, her details, her connections, and maybe join her on a tour in Cusco, Peru, or wherever else you might be in the world connecting to our beautiful Andromedans. Until next time, everyone. Akuria mate.
Thank you.
Thank you.